Hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be watching this. Welcome to another video. In this video today, I give you my take on the security failures, mental health, and the alarming threat against Trump. The case of Ryan Wesley Routh, who allegedly planned to target former President Donald Trump, is yet another troubling example of how mental health issues interact with acts of violence. While authorities are still piecing together his motive, what stands out is Routh's apparent distress and obsession with political and global issues, which may have fueled his actions. This situation brings up a larger conversation about the role mental health plays in such incidents, especially when combined with access to weapons and inflammatory rhetoric. It's important to recognize that not all acts of violence stem purely from ideological convictions. Often, they are the results of underlying mental health issues that go unaddressed until they manifest in extreme actions. The fact that Routh left a voluminous digital trail of political anger may point to the kind of isolation and obsession that is sometimes seen in individuals struggling with mental health problems. In these cases, frustration with world events coupled with an inability to process these emotions healthily can lead to dangerous outcomes. Moreover, this is the second time Donald Trump has been targeted of an assassination attempt, raising questions about whether enough is being done to identify and help individuals who may be at risk of acting out violently. While the focus often falls on the political and legal dimensions of these cases, we must consider the role mental health interventions could play in preventing them. Early identification of mental health struggles coupled with effective intervention and support could be a key in avoiding future incidents like this. In the wake of Routh's arrest, it is essential to look beyond just the legal consequences and consider how we as a society can better address the mental health issues that often fuel such extreme actions. Strengthening mental health resources and destigmatizing treatment are crucial steps in preventing future tragedies and ensuring that those struggles get the help they need before they reach a breaking point. That is my viewpoint on this. I'd like to hear yours in the comments. I hope you watched the whole video because it's all the updated news from the two Trump assassinations. There's also a whistleblower complaint that you get to see. Mike Patchy of Patchy Live Now reads the whole 22 pages of the whistleblower complaint. So I hope you watch through the whole thing, and let me know what you think about this, in the comments, and how you feel, if you feel the same way that I feel. Thanks. Now, let's go ahead and get into the video.
Good evening, guys. I'm back with more updates. Quite a bit of things we have to talk about. More information is coming out about the shooter, like his name, pictures. Even though they scrubbed his Facebook quickly, already they moved so quick. I don't know why they moved so quick to scrub it, but his Facebook's private or taken down. So he's identified as Ryan Wesley Routh, 58. Multiple U.S. media reports say he's voted for Democrats in March of this year during the state party polls, and even donated $100 to Act Blue, the institution that processes donations for the Democratic Party. So it looks like he was once a former Trump supporter, I guess, and he got upset and deranged and called Trump the R word. This is from his Twitter account on June 11th, 2020. At Donald Trump. While you were my choice in 2016, I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate. But we all were greatly disappointed, and it seems you are getting worse and devolving. Are you retarded? I will be glad when you're gone. So let me pull up some information on him.
Ryan Routh, owner at Camp Box, Honolulu, constantly focused on contributing as much as possible to the community, always trying to put in far more than I take out. Work has never been about money, rather building frameworks for people to thrive and succeed. Being mechanically minded, and I enjoy ideas and invention and creative projects with artistic flair. I enjoy building and collaborative projects that allow an unlimited range of ideas and options to see what our minds can create and push the limits of our thoughts. I love the unlimited opportunity right in front of us. Having passed along any meager remnants of myself in North Carolina, I relocated to Oahu. I currently build very simple housing structures for the less fortunate and pursue a wide range of other creative projects towards developing unique products and devices, as well as community improvement projects. I am constantly looking for collaborative opportunities which yield the most public impact for the improvement of our society. I would tremendously enjoy the invitation to join any monumental worthy cause to bring about real change in our world. I am certainly free to relocate to any remote location on the planet that might render the most positive impact, or right around the corner, creating something unique and magical. If you are working on any sort of interesting project, I would appreciate an invitation to join your team as an economical, energetic, unrelenting partner to help push your hopes, ideas, and dreams forward as fast and as far as they can go. I look forward to your ideas and input, and curious what amazing things we might create and build together.
And a subscriber sent me this, and he's got quite a lengthy record. Take a look at this. Possession of stolen goods, operating a vehicle with no insurance. God, wow, he's got quite a few charges of possession of stolen goods. Wow, and operating a vehicle with no insurance, expired, no inspection. Expired, no inspection. Wow. License revoked. I'm just naming off just a few of them. There's just so many of them. Wow. Damn. Speeding, 55 and a 35. Driving while license revoked. Driving while license revoked. Wow, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, 9 violent. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. Whoa, what the? Possession of a weapon of mass destruction? Damn, failure to stop or a steady red light. Damn, I could go on probably here.
Homeless people, housing, who tried to recruit fighters for Ukraine to defend itself against Russia, and he was a Trump supporter.
where he kind of grew disenchanted and turned on him, writing a book where he urged Iran to assassinate.
Routh is a North Carolina native who moved to Hawaii in 2018. He portrayed himself online as a man who built housing for homeless people, who tried to recruit fighters for Ukraine to defend itself against Russia. And he was a Trump supporter before he kind of grew disenchanted with Trump and turned on him, even writing a book where he urged Iran to assassinate Trump. Before moving to Hawaii, Routh lived in Greensboro, North Carolina, where he had numerous run-ins with the law. In 2002, during a traffic stop, a police officer noticed that he had a firearm sitting next to him in the car, and Routh then fled to a roofing company that he owned, where he barricaded himself inside and had a 3-hour standoff with police. According to charging documents, he had a fully automatic, what was described as a machine gun, with him, and he was charged with possessing a weapon of mass destruction. He was also arrested in 2010 and charged with felony possession of stolen goods after police said he used his roofing company's warehouse as a clearinghouse for stolen property that he bought from thieves and then intended to resell at a profit. With 2 felony convictions, it's not clear how Routh was able to obtain the AK-style rifle that he had at the Trump golf course yesterday. In most states, those felony convictions would have barred him from either buying or possessing a firearm. Authorities are still searching for what they consider a motive for Routh wanting to assassinate Trump. But what is clear from his online profile is that he had become disenchanted with a number of the former president's policy positions, as well as his continued attempts to voice admiration for Russian President Vladimir Putin, who invaded Ukraine.
Now, what I'm about to show you next is just like the previous Trump shooter. Ryan Wesley was actually in a video, an article for recruiting Afghan soldiers. Let me get the story out here first, and then we'll watch the video. Now, this article was posted last March, on March 10th. Ukraine is turning down hundreds of Afghan soldiers who want to join its war effort. Hundreds, if not thousands, of U.S.-trained Afghan fighters are seeking to join Ukraine's Foreign Legion, according to a key Ukrainian recruiter. Applications submitted by Afghans and in an interview with 2 of those fighters, but for reasons that cast a light both on Ukraine's military strategy and its global relationships. The fighters have so far been turned away, even as Russia increasingly relies on irregular forces such as foreign soldiers, including ones from Afghanistan. Casualties are also mounting as both sides preparing spring offenses amid intense battles in the eastern part of the Ukraine. In Bakhmut, the founder of the Russian parliamentary organization, the Wagner Group, claimed on Wednesday to have seized part of the city. And it goes on. It's right here. And this is where he's mentioned right here. Most of the Ukrainian authorities do not want these soldiers, said Ryan Wesley, head of the International Volunteer Center in Ukraine, a private organization which helps foreigners seeking to assist the war effort connect with military units and aid groups. I have had partners meeting with Ukraine's Ministry of Defense every week and still have not been able to get them to agree to issue one single visa. Let's check this out.
Recruiting them. Ukraine is reluctant to be cooperative.
That's Ryan Routh, a U.S. citizen who set up the International Volunteer Center in Ukraine to help connect foreigners to Ukrainian military units.
Now I'm talking to over 100 soldiers every day, and pretty much everybody, all of my contacts in Ukraine, they were adamant and pretty much yelled at me every time that I suggested that we bring in Afghans.
The Ukrainian government didn't respond to our request for comment, but a source close to the officials in Kyiv told Semaphore that their top concern is the question of loyalty in the thick fog of war.
The biggest thing is spies. They're afraid that anybody and everybody is a Russian spy.
Those concerns aren't completely unfounded. Russia's notorious private military group, Wagner, has reportedly begun recruiting Afghan commandos. Semaphore reviewed these text messages from Afghan soldiers, which tell the same story.
What I heard was that they were offering them about $2,500 to $3,500 a month to come there, and they were going to put them up with housing and stuff like that. I don't know any personally that took that option. None of my guys did. But there were a lot that did take that option. I mean, these guys are loyal to America, but I mean, if America's going to just leave them sitting there for 2 years like we have, I mean, it's actually a pretty good-looking option for these guys, you know. They want to be Americans, honestly. They want to come to America. But if they can show that they support America still and whatever we do around the world, I think that's the key for these guys.
Okay, that was from a year ago. And I guess he was really trying to do some type of recruiting. Which brings me to my next item. He sat down for an interview with Newsweek Romania in 2022. The report mentions he was involved in recruiting foreign volunteers to fight for Ukraine.
Please tell me who you are and why are you here?
I'm 56, from the U.S., from North Carolina originally, so live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie we ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another, and it's just a matter of, you know, we need to stand up for that. That is the most important thing in the world, is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, you know, we all move forward as one collective whole unit. So, you know, we feel the pain of one country's failure and their conflicts, and we enjoy the successes of other countries that are doing good, and we all work together. And for some reason, Russia does not grasp this concept that we're all one unit, and we have to get along and work together and be normal human beings. This is 2022. We have to work together. It seems asinine that we have a leader in a country that does not understand the concept of being unselfish and being generous and being kind and just the basic moral values that are required by human beings these days. It blows my mind.
And what are you doing here in Ukraine?
My initial goal was to come and fight. I think, you know, everybody around the globe should be motivated to come here and support the Ukrainians and support the army, no matter what gender, age, anything. Everybody should be here supporting the army. But I'm 56, so initially they were like, well, I have no military experience, so they're like, you're not an ideal candidate. So they said, not right this minute. So plan B was to come here to Kyiv and promote getting more people here. You know, we need thousands and thousands and thousands of people here fighting with the Ukrainians. We need, you know, we've got 190 countries around the world, and we need thousands from all of them. If the governments will not send their official military then we civilians have to pick up the torch and make this thing happen. And we've gotten some wonderful people here, but it's a small fraction of the number that should be here. If we have 5,000, to 10,000 people here fighting, that is just a minuscule amount of the 5 billion people on the globe. We need everyone here fighting. That's why I'm in Kyiv. So every project that I promote is about getting people here to support the Ukrainians. We were at a critical juncture in this war where we are sitting on the fence as far as whether good or evil is going to win. Right now we're looking at a situation where the world is waning and it's thinking that this is important or not. And we're at a point where, all right, are we going to stand for humanity, for human rights, for everything that is good with the world? Or are we just going to ignore it? If everybody is complacent and doesn't join this fight, then guess who's going to win? It might take 10 years, but we're going to lose this battle if everyone around the globe does not stop what they're doing and get off the couch and come to Ukraine and defend the human rights of everyone around the globe. This is the most important thing going on in the world today. So sitting around and letting life go on as normal and complaining about gas prices and complaining about, your luxury life in whatever country you live in is unacceptable. As human beings, we must support each other. We cannot turn our backs on anyone around the world and expect the problem to go away. So I've been dealing with Russia for my entire life. We had one period where it was okay, but now we've let it slip back into terrorism. So it's just, the world needs to respond. Why world leaders are not sending military is beyond me. We're going to have to elect new leaders the next go around that have a backbone and that have the fortitude to say, hey, we're not going to tolerate this type of behavior. This type of behavior is unacceptable anywhere, any place. So it's totally unacceptable. And why people are not responding, I do not know.
What impressed you the most since you are here?
My trip to Irpin was pretty emotional. So, going and seeing the buildings that were burned and destroyed and things of that nature. I think more emotional for me is just talking to the guys that have come here. When you talk to a 20-year-old guy that sold everything he owns to come here and fight, that is heroism. He's come here to risk his life for humanity, for the Ukrainians. Guys that sell everything they own to come here and support the Ukrainians while others sit at home and do nothing. It's totally mind-blowing how we have this divide of people that are selfless and courageous and wonderful and willing to sell everything they own to come here and support, keep people from getting killed, to shelter kids and protect Ukrainians, and others that just, want to sit at home and not. It's just, it's an indictment of our entire human society to say, hey, where do we stand? Do we stand for good? Or do we just not care? I mean, does the world not care? That's the feeling that I wrestle with every day in my interactions with everybody. Every one of us is responsible for the outcome of this war. Every one of us, by our actions and what we do. And when I call back home and say, hey, I need $5 so I can, put enough money together to get a vest for a Ukrainian, and I get no response, I'm like, I'm not sure that the world is as wonderful as I once thought it was. I had thought that everyone would respond, very generously and unselfishly, and you don't have to come, but if I ask for $5 to buy a vest to save a Ukrainian life, it seems like that would be a no-brainer. But I increasingly get more disappointed in humanity. And I'm beginning to question whether or not we're going to end up on the right side of this equation.
So you are working with the International Legion,
Yes.
and you are trying to convince people to help, to donate, and to join.
Yeah.
My final question is, what would you say to the people in order to convince them to join the International Legion, or to donate for it, or to be involved in the humanitarian aid to Ukraine?
Right. It's just extremely important, the whole thing. As far as joining the military, yes, if you have some military experience or know people with military experience, encouraging them to come and fight. We have units all over the place. So, there were some leadership issues initially, but we've got so many units available to us: Georgian, Crimean, Ukrainian, Territorial Defense, Foreign Legion. We have, so many paramilitary groups. I put a 74-year-old Japanese guy in a unit. So, we have girls in units. So we have two girls that are in the unit up the street. So any gender, any age, any skill level to no skill level. But yeah, if you want to fight, come here and see me, and I'll put you in a unit so you can go fight. But regardless of that, we should have thousands upon thousands of people standing here with the Ukrainians. This Maiden Square, Independence Square, we should have millions of people in this square, filling the square from every country around the world. And while we don't, I don't understand. I'm here every day with all the flags from all the supporting countries, with the memorials for the people that have died. And, I've had several people come, but just a handful, So it blows my mind that I'm standing here alone without thousands of people from every country, from Asia, from Africa, from Australia, from Canada, from everywhere in South America, every place.
Europe.
Europe, everywhere. We need everybody here. If you have no skills, just come. We need to be cheerleaders. Just being here and saying, hey, I support the Ukrainians, and I support human rights, and I support good and generosity and caring and kindness and altruism, and it's just we need to show the world that we care, and it's essential. If you don't do any work at all, just being here and supporting and showing them that we care for our fellow human beings is the most important thing we can do.
Okay, the son of the alleged would-be assassin, Ryan Wesley Routh, says his dad hates Trump like all reasonable people. The son of Ryan Wesley Routh, the man named as a suspect in a possible assassination attempt near Donald Trump's Florida golf club on Sunday, has said his father is not a violent person and did not even believe him to own a gun. Routh's son, Orrin Routh, reached by DailyMail.com shortly after Sunday's shooting, said this was the first he'd heard of the alleged assassination attempt. The 35-year-old exclusively told DailyMail.com, "Was my father shot or injured?" He said his father hates Trump as every reasonable person does. "I don't like Trump either," he said. But he said his dad is not a violent person and couldn't believe his father would target the president. "He's my dad, and all he's had is a couple of traffic tickets as far as I know. Well, you didn't know that all that traffic violations he has. Wow, this is just a lengthy criminal record. Can't believe it. The son said that's crazy. I know my dad and love my dad, but that's nothing like him. The former president was rushed to safety on Sunday after multiple shots were fired in his vicinity while he was playing golf at his club in West Palm Beach. Routh said his father, who had no military experience, said he had traveled to Ukraine following Russia's 2022 invasion to help volunteer and provide aid to those affected. Routh moved to Hawaii and he did some work for Home Aid Hawaii, it's a non-profit organization that helps homeless people find housing. And they say that Routh offered his services to help with roofing and flooring for the construction of tiny homes from 2018 to 2020. He was not compensated and no complaints were recorded during his time with us under Home Aid Hawaii's previous leadership. Kimo Carvalho, the organization's executive director, said Monday in a press release. Said that the company has not used Routh services since 2020. Routh moved to Hawaii for a few years back and was living with his longtime girlfriend. He said he didn't know his father was even in Florida. He said he was at the beach, but I thought that meant the Outer Banks in Hawaii. He said, I didn't ask him for more information because we had a falling out. We've grown apart. And he wouldn't explain the nature of their falling out. Asked whether his father owned a gun, he replied, not that I know of. I've never known him to own a gun or known him to do anything bad. Shit. Well, we know what that word is. Like this. The son added, he said his father works as a general contractor. Sorry about that, I had a call. He said his father worked as a general contractor building small homes in Hawaii and previously owned a roofing company. He abruptly ended the call, saying he needed to inquire about what actually happened. Later in a rambling text, Routh appeared to justify his father's actions. I hate this game every 4 hours and think that we all do. And if my father wants to be a martyr to how broken and disassociated the process has become from the real problems and practical solutions, then that's his choice. I'm not saying that what he's done or what he's about, that's just my own rant, being fed up with all of my entire adult life, he wrote. South Park said it best. Every 4 years, we're forced to choose between a turd sandwich and a giant douche. And it all says, in the same ways by different degrees. And we're exhausted and embarrassed by it all. My God. That's his vehicle right there, and look what he's got on the back of his truck. Wow. Damn. The suspect ran from the trees, but was spotted by a witness who snapped pictures of his vehicle, a black Nissan, which included the license plate, before he drove away. That was good. That was really good. Yeah.
Trump confirmed in a statement about an hour after the shots were reported that he is safe and well and didn't want rumors to start spiraling out of control. The suspect was able to get within 400 to 500 yards of Trump. The 2024 Republican nominee bulked up Secret Service advance teams spotted the shooter in the tree line just 2 holes from where Trump was golfing. Special Agent Rafael Barros explained at the press conference on Sunday that the Secret Service moves along with Trump and usually surveying 1 or 2 holes ahead of him when he goes for a round of golf. Let's go ahead and take a look at that press conference.
Okay, guys, you ready? Little rules of the road like we always talk about ahead of time. We are going to give you, when I say we have a representative from the FBI, from the Secret Service, from the State Attorney's Office. We are going to give you everything we have. Everything. All right? So when we get done, think about your questions, because we're not going to take a lot. And keep them to the information that you heard. Don't get into what ifs, and because of this, we're not going to go there. All right? So keep that in mind, and we'll be good. So here we go. All right, 1:30 this afternoon. Call came out, shots fired. That was called in by the Secret Service. Because we're in constant contact with them all the time, we were notified of that, and we had units here that immediately sealed off the area. Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag, which was great. So we had that information. Our real-time crime center put it out to the license plate readers. And we were able to get a hit on that vehicle on I-95 as it was headed into Martin County. We got a hold of Martin County Sheriff's Office, alerted them, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over and detained the guy. After that, we took the the witness that witnessed the incident, flew him up there, and he identified as the person that he saw running out of the bushes and jumped into the car. Now, in the bushes where this guy was is an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of. So those are being processed right now. The Secret Service agent that was on the course did a fantastic job. What they do is they have an agent that jumps 1 hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off. So that's what we know about the investigation. We have somebody in custody right now that is a potential suspect. We got a little bit more work to do on it, but as we usually do, as soon as we decide that we're going to book him into the county jail and the charges that he's going to be booked into, we'll get those to you, and we'll get a picture of him, and we'll get you his background. So now I'm going to turn it over to the representative of the Secret Service, and he's going to make a brief statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I first want to thank all of our law enforcement partners, to include the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office and the Martin County Sheriff's Office, for their involvement today. Former President Donald Trump is safe and unharmed following a protective incident shortly before 2 p.m. on Sunday at Trump International Golf Club at West Palm Beach. The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line, and this matter is under investigation. I'll turn it over to my partners over at the FBI.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Veltri. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Miami field office. The FBI has assumed the role as the lead federal law enforcement agency in the investigation of the incident that occurred earlier today at Trump International Golf Course here in West Palm Beach, Florida. We've deployed a number of resources, including the investigative teams, crisis response team members, bomb technicians, and evidence response team members as well. What we need right now is for the public to avoid the area around the golf course. We will continue to support this investigation with the full resources of the FBI, alongside our partners with the United States Secret Service and the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, as well as Martin County Sheriff's Office and state and local law enforcement. I would ask that if anyone has any information that may assist with this investigation, to contact our tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI or at tips, that's TIPS, FBI.gov. Thank you. David?
Hi, I'm Dave Ehrenberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County. I want to thank Sheriff Bradshaw and our partners at the local, state, and federal levels. I'm here because our prosecutors are currently working up warrants and a motion for pretrial detention for the suspect. In that way, he will be kept in custody. But our filing of these warrants and charges at the state level does not preclude federal charges that could be coming. But in the meantime, it looks like the warrants and the pretrial detention motion will happen first. And again, I want to thank the cooperation we've had with our federal partners and at the local level. And thank you all for being here today.
Okay, we're going to make these pictures available to you. It'll show you a picture of the backpack and the rifle. And there's also a GoPro on the fence there where he was intent on filming what was going on. Even though we're going to have to secure a couple of areas around the golf course here, the public doesn't need to panic. We know that we got a post office, a library, and a school down the street. So we'll make it convenient for you to get to all the places you need to go, get your kids to school, get them over here to the post office or wherever else you need to go. It's safe. There's no more danger here, and we'll make it very convenient for you. So having said that, we're going to take a very limited amount of questions, and you can direct them to who you want to answer the question.
Sure. Did this individual make any statement that he was being detained?
No statement right now as far as his involvement in the incident, and there's further investigation to be completed.
What was his demeanor like?
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe the first gentleman answered. I misunderstood, or I couldn't quite understand. So there was a rifle. So one of your agents saw on the golf course saw a rifle pointing to a fence with a chain. Okay, so he saw that, the agent?
That is correct, yes.
And the president or the former president was on the course behind him. How close?
It was 1 or 2 holes behind. That because the bubble moves through the golf course, so our agents will get there first, clear it. He noticed that the rifle was pointed out. Our agents engaged. We are not sure right now if the individual was able to take a shot at our agents, but for sure our agents were able to engage with the subject. I don't know that. Doesn't appear so.
Yep.
How far away was the president? How far away was Donald Trump when this gentleman was caught and stopped?
Probably between 300 and 500 yards, but with a rifle and a scope like that, that's not a long distance.
To the Secret Service, how far was your agent from the would-be assailant?
That I'm not sure right now. We're still looking into it.
Reports of the 4 rounds of ammunition were fired. Were all 4 of them from your agent?
That is correct. 4 to 6. We're not sure yet.
Was there a long distance?
Yes, yes. Yes, ma'am.
We have 25. I was wondering what how this was able to happen, and for future reference, is there any security in the golf course?
I didn't hear all that. Say that one more time and talk up a little bit.
So, how was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any security in the golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right? And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the city president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around.
Really?
Well, because he's not.
Just a quick clarification here, Sheriff.
The Secret Service.
Donald Trump may not be the sitting president at this time. He was a former president.
I would imagine that the next
he
time
still
comes to
needs
the golf
protection.
course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around.
What an idiot. New details emerged over the week about the case against Ryan Wesley Routh, who appeared in federal court facing 2 serious charges on Monday. One of those charges accuses Routh of illegally possessing a firearm as a convicted felon, something prohibited by law. The second charge accuses him of possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number, which raises further concerns about his intentions. But the story doesn't end there. They're learning more about what Routh was allegedly doing in the hours leading up to the episode, and the details are stalling. According to an FBI affidavit, Routh had camped out for 12 hours near the ledges of Golf Club. He was there reportedly waiting until a Secret Service agent spotted him near the tree line, triggering an exchange of gunfire, leading Routh to flee the scene in his SUV. Authorities later found alarming evidence of the planning involved: an AK-47 style assault rifle, a GoPro camera, and a bag of food, further suggesting he had been waiting for some time. While Routh faces only 2 firearm charges for now, the investigation is far from over. There has been no formal charge related to an assassination attempt on the former president, but they do know Routh left a significant digital trail, one full of political views and anger, particularly regarding global issues like Ukraine and China. Routh has been vocal about politics and critical of politicians in both parties. Routh also posted a picture of himself in Ukraine's capital. A self-proclaimed human rights and political activist, Routh lived in North Carolina most of his life, working as a contractor and owning a roofing business. He moved to Hawaii in 2019, where he owns a business with one of his sons that builds storage units in tiny houses. In Hawaii, Routh was active on Twitter, known as X, writing in his profile, "I feel lucky to have been both in America with freedom and opportunity, and hope that I do not waste such a valuable thing." The National Investigative Unit recovered hundreds of posts from his now removed account. Some posts in 2020 showed he was supporting Bernie Sanders and shifting away from Joe Biden, writing on March 4th, "I was not supporting Bernie, but now I am, as Sleepy Joe stands for nothing." His voting record shows he is unaffiliated, and in recent years, his social media posts support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. He publicly posted to both of them following the first assassination attempt on Trump, telling them to visit those who were injured. "Trump will never do anything for them. Show the world what compassion and humanity is all about," he wrote to Harris. On X, Routh once invited North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to vacation in Hawaii, hoping to build a friendly bond between the dictator and Americans. Nurse Chelsea Walsh bravely reported the suspected would-be assassin Ryan Routh to federal authorities after witnessing his disturbing behavior in Ukraine. On Jesse Waters' Primetime, she shared how Routh frequently spoke about assassinating world leaders, including Donald Trump, and displayed erratic tendencies, feeling unsafe. Walsh ultimately left Ukraine and flagged Routh's actions, which involved conning Ukraine military personnel and humanitarian organizations. Her vigilance and timely report likely helped avert potential danger.
Chelsea Walsh is the nurse who flagged Routh to the feds after meeting him in Ukraine. And she joins us now. Chelsea, what about Routh struck you?
He had very bizarre and volatile tendencies. As a nurse, I'm a mandated reporter, and we are also trained to determine when someone is a threat to themselves or others. I determined after knowing Ryan for a while that he was a threat to others. So I felt that it was necessary that he be reported to the proper authorities.
And you reported this to the federal government. And what happened next?
I haven't heard anything. I have had no correspondence. Nobody had tried to connect with me until today.
Okay. Has someone from which agency specifically connected with you now?
A agency has connected with me. I don't want to say which one, but someone has connected with me.
Okay. In your conversations and observations of Routh, what were the things that he was saying he was operating in?
Ryan got involved with the humanitarian side as well as the military side. He got involved with things that he shouldn't have been involved with. He was able to con members in the Ukrainian military. He was able to con charities. He was a good con artist. He was calculated, but he was also very volatile and sporadic. He got into just about everything: drones, weapons, humanitarian aid. He got involved in things he shouldn't have been involved with because he didn't have a background in any of this.
How was he able to con the Ukrainian military?
That you'll have to ask him.
Okay, I will. And tell me about your meeting with him when you said you felt he was a danger. Did you feel like you were in danger?
Yes, it got to a point where I ended up leaving Ukraine early on my first visit there because of Ryan, and I felt that I was in danger after a conversation that I had with him that I don't really want to go into right now. But he was one of the reasons I left Ukraine, because I felt that I was in jeopardy by staying there and he was around.
Did he ever talk about assassinations?
All the time. he wanted to kill most world leaders. I don't remember. It's been over 2 years since I was with him, but I definitely remember he always talked about wanting to kill Putin, Kim Jong-un. He developed plans. He talked about Biden and Trump, but I can't remember. It's been over 2 years since I heard those conversations. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he did speak frequently about harming world leaders.
All right. Well, we're glad that you reported this, and we're glad finally there's been some follow-up. Chelsea, thank you so much. You're a very brave nurse.
Thank you very much.
Tanya Lukianova, a reporter for the Free Press, interviewed Ryan Routh in March of 2023 as part of a story about foreign fighters trying to join the war in Ukraine. During the interview, which was primarily focused on Routh's involvement in creating the International Volunteer Legion for Ukraine, Lukianova noted that Routh seemed off, described the interaction as strange, comparing it to a scene from a Coen Brothers movie. Routh came across as overly zealous about the Ukraine cause, but Lukianova did not suspect he would later attempt an assassination on Donald Trump. She talked with Fox News on Monday.
Well, we are excited to have this next guest. She is the Free Press reporter Tanya Lukianova. She spoke to the suspect just last year in a video interview on March 7th, 2023. When this happened and his name came out and maybe you saw the photo, when did you realize, oh, I talked to him?
I got a call from Ben Smith, the editor-in-chief of Semaphore, last night when he told me that, remember that guy that you interviewed last year for your story? Well, it turns out that he's now in custody and he's been identified as the suspect, would-be assassin of former president. That's when it clicked for me that that's what happened.
Did you remember him?
I instantly remembered him. He was a very colorful personality when I interviewed him. I was working on a story about the U.S.-trained elite Afghan commandos who wanted to join the Ukraine war effort. And he created something called the International Volunteer Legion, which was this liaison between international fighters who want to join Ukraine effort and Ukrainian Defense Ministry and other various government organizations. And he was doing a lot of work for them. Actually, he traveled to Ukraine and lived there for 5 months. And so he was a source from inside the Ukrainian government, gave me his contact info as one of the most active, volunteers working in this area of bringing international fighters.
What was he doing in Washington, D.C.?
What he told me is he was meeting with some unidentified lawmakers to try to push push the United States government to, ease the path for international volunteers to come to Ukraine.
Did he actually have meetings with lawmakers?
Not that I'm aware of, but he was at the Capitol for that reason, he told me in the interview.
How did you find his demeanor at the time?
He seemed off. I mean, if you look at the video interview, it looks like it's a scene out of a Coen Brothers movie. He seems distraught, but then at the same time, he wasn't even the most colorful of the personalities that I spoke to as part of the story, because, if you are working in this area.
Did he express any political views to you?
He did not, except for he really supported the Ukrainian cause. He was really pushing for the U.S. to do more to help Ukraine. Beyond that, he did not express any political.
So I don't know if it was your interview last night. It runs about 11 minutes long. If it was, tell me. But he was dressed in red, white, and blue outfits. Was that your interview?
I did a video with him. He appears there for maybe a couple of minutes, but the backdrop of the U.S. Capitol. Where he's wearing.
So this must have been different. He supported Ukraine.
Right.
He supported Taiwan. I believe he supported the Palestinians. What does he believe?
I am not entirely certain. I actually wasn't following much him afterwards. He was a source for one of the stories that I did, and I corroborated his identity with Ukraine.
And you never talked to him again?
I never talked to him again. I didn't even know, until last night about his, political affiliations.
Tanya, we'll try and make sense of it together.
Yeah.
I mean, it even seems as an individual who spoke to him, you're still a little confounded, it appears.
Absolutely. It's. As I said, he never struck me as a would-be assassin of a former president. He just seemed like a little bit overzealous, but supporting the right cause.
Well,
There's others. He was well known among volunteer aid groups in Ukraine as a, quote, fraudster and, quote, kind of a whack job. That's according to Sarah Adams, a former CIA officer who helped run a network that linked 50 aid groups to share information and coordinate humanitarian and volunteer efforts.
Well, he did have felony charges for stolen goods from 1997 all the way to 2010.
Not to mention felony charges for possession of a fully automatic weapon, a machine gun. And this is why one of the charges against him is felon in possession of a gun, with potentially more charges coming. For more on this, please be joined by Tanya Lukanova. She's a documentary filmmaker and a reporter and video journalist for the Free Press. We mentioned her yesterday because she had an interaction with this guy as well. And she's written a piece following up on yesterday's blurb. Why do journalists like me take this guy, I don't like to say his name very much, but Ryan Routh, seriously? Tanya Lukanova, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, give us what your interactions were with this guy when you had them.
Right. I was working on a story about U.S.-trained elite Afghan commandos who are eager to join Ukraine war. Was at a publication called Semaphore last year. And in the course of reporting that story, a source inside Ukraine's Foreign Legion has recommended that I reach out to this guy, Ryan Routh. He came recommended as, a little off, a little bit too eager, a little bit crazy. The Ukrainians definitely thought of him as weird, but at least with this particular source, they kind of, told him that he's one of the more able foreign volunteers as well. He was helping on many different fronts. He clearly cared passionately about Ukraine's plight. He spent 5 months in Kiev. And so, by the time that I came to interview him, I recorded a 20-minute video interview, out of which we ended up using maybe 2 or 3, where he talks about his efforts to bring Afghan nationals to Ukrainian front lines. And, during that interaction, he definitely seemed off to me. But at the same time, as somebody who's been working on the stories about foreign legions, he wasn't even the most colorful personality that I've come to interview. This type of line of work attracts a certain people with certain disposition, I would say.
Yeah, sure.
So he did not strike me as too weird, or I definitely would not have assumed that this is a future would assassin of a former president.
Did he make any disparaging remarks about President Trump?
He did not, and that's another thing. I mean, it was such a narrow inquiry. Looking back at it, we were talking about this very narrow slice of what he was doing, what I was interested in within the confines of the story that I was working on. And looking back at it, that's, it was fascinating and bemusing to me to learn yesterday that he is the man who tried to assassinate former President Trump, because looking back, and as you were just saying before, there were so many red flags. How come so many of us, including the New York Times and Newsweek and policymakers with whom he met and people inside Ukraine's defense ministry with whom he allegedly had contact, how did we overlook all of them? And, the conclusion that I come to in the Free Press article is that he was fighting for the good cause. He was the right kind of crazy, right?
The right kind of crazy. Yeah.
The right kind of crazy. He was on the side of Ukraine, and I'm Russian myself. I'm born and raised in Moscow, so perhaps there's also a little bit of a oversensitivity with me to overcorrect on the side, reporting on the war for emotional reasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting too. I mean, not that this is necessarily required by any stretch in terms of interviewing a subject for a specific topic where you're going to, pour through his social media postings, right, or take judicial notice that apparently he had a self-published book that right, included references to assassinating Trump.
Right.
But I mean, it is just, but even if you had reviewed that stuff, you say, well, I mean, this is,
Exactly.
Maybe somebody who has Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, he doesn't say anything different than you hear at some, rich suburban honky's house in suburban Chicago. So, I mean, it's like,
Absolutely.
how do you really drill down and say this guy is willing to go next level?
Right. No, that's absolutely true, Dan. And also, this story, we were working on it. It was a scoop, so we were working on a print and video pieces to publish within a single day. So it was all hands on deck. And not only did I not have any time to sort of go back and do the background check on the guy, but as you said, even if I did find some of those red flags, I don't think it would necessarily detract me from still, publishing it. Because, again, like, you just give a pass to these types of folks who are willing to go halfway around the world to join foreign wars. You got to assume that there must be something off about them.
Yeah, well, I mean, that there's a certain sort of zealotry, and then of course we've seen this go a lot of different directions. I mean, think about the Americans who went over and fought with Islamic extremists, Islamic terrorist
That's
groups
right.
during the height of the war on terror, and so there's just all these a lot of these people, and this is just attended to a free society, who are sort of lost, who are marginally connected to reality, who get hyper politicized, who need a cause to provide definition to their life. And I mean, that's why it was just like that. The clip of the interview we played, he's so emotional about not even his own decision, but like these other people that are coming, and why isn't everybody coming? It's just sort of sophomoric almost.
Yes, the question is, where does the thin line between passion and craziness, just madness, where is that line, right? And how do you find it?
Yeah,
that's absolutely right.
Since you sat down and interviewed him for 20 minutes, has the FBI contacted you? Because yesterday the head of the FBI Miami field office said that they'd be speaking or just trying to figure out his involvement in trying to recruit Afghan soldiers to fight in Ukraine.
Remarkably not yet. I've got so many requests from various media companies who give interviews, but one call that I have not received yet is from the FBI.
But you have still the raw tape, right?
Yes, and we managed to recover. We were using software called Riverside to do audio and video interview with him at the time, so they were incredibly helpful to help us restore the whole 20-minute piece.
Do you know if he ever fought on the front lines or fought at all in the Ukrainian war? Or was he just a recruiter?
From what I know from my Ukrainian sources, he did not fight. Either he attempted to fight and then was expelled, or didn't even set foot on the battlefield. He was, he definitely had no prior military experience when he went to Ukraine at the beginning of the Russian invasion. And from what I understand, he was more like acting as a liaison between international fighters who want to join Ukraine's war effort and the Ukrainian military units and aid groups.
I mean, just as a journalist, what's your perspective on the coverage over the last 48 hours of this failed assassination attempt?
Well, I honestly, and that's something that I also put in the story, I'm a little bit taken back by the lack of outrage or just lack of shock that this generates, the very idea that there is now 2 assassinations in as many months on the former president. I would assume that it should have brought some more outrageous public discourse, which it hasn't. And that obviously raises other questions in terms of, going back to being the right kind of crazy. Are we willing to tolerate madness for the sake of supporting the right cause? That's something that I'm a little bit frustrated about, if I'm being completely honest. So that's...
Yeah, that's a great question. That is a great question. I wish some news readers on these cable news networks had that question put to them. Tanya Lukanova is a documentary filmmaker and reporter, video journalist for the Free Press. Do check out her piece, I Met Trump's Would-Be Assassin. Tanya Lukanova, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
A whistleblower report related to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump was unveiled by Senator Josh Hawley on September 18th. The 22-page report highlights the failures of the United States Secret Service in connection with the July 13th attempted assassination of former President Trump. The report reveals a pattern of negligence, sloppiness, and gross incompetence within the Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security. Some key findings include absent intelligence units, poor hospital security, and lack of accountability. Mike Pache, host of Pache Live Now, has made headlines for being the first to read the entire whistleblower report detailing the near-fatal assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
Welcome, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Pache. Always great to be with you. We have been covering extensively the first Trump attempted assassination. I know it's hard to believe now that we have to say the first one, given everything that has happened the last couple of days out in Florida. But we want to center back in Butler, Pennsylvania, to talk about the big whistleblower report that was released by Senator Josh Hawley, a Republican out of Missouri. He released a 22-page whistleblower report from Secret Service members that have become whistleblowers, and wanted to talk to him and his office about what happened, what really happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. We have all 22 pages right here, and I will be reading all 22 pages out right here on Live Now from Fox. Only one to do it on YouTube. You will only see it right here. So let's get right into it. I'm going to read the full 22 pages, and we will talk a little bit about it right here on Live Now from Fox. So it is called Whistleblower Report: Failures of the United States Secret Service in connection with the attempted assassination of former President Donald J. Trump. Report from the office of Josh Hawley, U.S. Senator for Missouri, Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. This is the executive summary. On July 13th, 2024, former President Donald J. Trump was nearly killed by an assassin's bullet while hosting a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the U.S. Secret Service failed to prevent it. It was the most stunning breakdown in presidential security since the assassination of President John F. Kennedy and attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. Following this catastrophic failure, the Secret Service, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Department of Homeland Security have all tried to evade real accountability. These agencies and their leaders have slow-walked congressional investigations, misled the American people, and shirked responsibility. In response, Senator Hawley personally visited the Butler, Pennsylvania rally site to interview whistleblowers, open up a whistleblower tip line, and encourage those with relevant information to tell their stories. Since then, many individuals have come forward with information regarding the events of July 13th from the Secret Service, DHS, and local law enforcement, as well as private citizens. The resulting findings are highly damaging to the credibility of the Secret Service and DHS. They reveal a compounding pattern of negligence, sloppiness, and gross incompetence that goes back years, all of which culminated in an assassination attempt that came inches from succeeding. Chief among them are the Secret Service's Counter-Surveillance Division, which performs threat assessments of event sites, did not perform a typical evaluation of the Butler site and was not present on the day of the rally. Secret Service personnel declined multiple offers from a local law enforcement partner to deploy drone technology, despite the fact that the would-be assassin used a drone himself to survey the rally site mere hours before the attempted assassination. The Secret Service Office of Protective Operations Manpower told agents in charge of security for the Butler rally not to request additional security resources because they would be denied. On July 13th, law enforcement personnel abandoned the rooftop of American Glass Research, Building 6, the roof which Thomas Crooks attempted to assassinate the former president, because of hot weather. The Secret Service lead site agent on July 13th, the agent with specific responsibility for the security of the rally site, including line of sight concerns, was known to be incompetent. The incompetence led to the placement of items like flags around the Butler stage and catwalk, impairing visibility. Supplementary Department of Homeland Security personnel were used to fill in shortages of Secret Service personnel on July 13th. Some DHS agents were pulled off child exploitation cases for this purpose, and the training they received was merely a poor quality 2-hour webinar. These findings, which were published by Senator Hawley in a series of letters to executive branch officials, have been cited by members of Congress and news outlets and have enhanced the public's understanding of what transpired on July 13th in Butler. In multiple cases, executive branch agencies have confirmed or corroborated whistleblower testimony. The findings have highlighted the need for swift and aggressive oversight action by the president and both houses of Congress. Executive branch agencies so far have denied any of these allegations. What is more, on July 30th, Senator Hawley directly questioned Acting Director Rowe about whistleblower allegations in a hearing jointly held by the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee and Senate Judiciary Committee. In addition, Senator Hawley is revealing several new findings from whistleblowers that have not yet been reported, including the lead agent responsible for the entire Butler visit, including the rally, failed a key examination during their federal law enforcement training to become a Secret Service agent. Secret Service intelligence units, teams of Secret Service agents paired with state and local law enforcement to handle reports of suspicious persons were absent from the Butler rally. The hospital site where former President Trump received treatment after the shooting was poorly secured, and the hospital site agent could not answer basic questions about site security. To date, Secret Service and DHS have provided virtually no answers, and there remain many questions outstanding, including who within the Secret Service or DHS made the decision to deny counter-sniper coverage to the rooftop from which Thomas Crook shot former President Trump on July 13th. When will Secret Service or DHS publicly name the lead site agent for the rally and the lead agent for the Butler visit? Did the acting Secret Service director ever deny resources to the Trump campaign or USSS counter-sniper teams, as has been reported in the press? Senator Hawley has consistently demanded accountability, calling on former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle to resign and demanding that Acting Director Rowe terminate those responsible for the security failures, and will continue to do so in the months to come. He has also written letters to Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas and called on the DHS Inspector General to investigate this department's failures. Let's continue to talk about this. Here is the background on this whistleblower report. On July 13th, 2024, Thomas Matthew Crooks took up a shooting position on the top of American Glass Research, Building 6 in Butler, Pennsylvania. The building had a direct line of sight to former President Donald J. Trump as he addressed a large crowd of supporters at the Butler Farm Show grounds. From roughly 400 feet away, Crooks fired 8 rounds from his AR-15 style rifle. President Trump was struck by gunfire and immediately evacuated for medical treatment at Butler Memorial Hospital, but not before pausing to reassure the crowd that he was still alive. Crooks' bullets also took the life of Corey Compatore, who was shot in the head while shielding his family. 2 others were shot and critically injured. Congress created the U.S. Secret Service with the mission to protect the president, vice president, former presidents, and other important government officials. In fiscal year 2023, Congress appropriated roughly $3 billion to the Secret Service. Yet despite these vast resources, the Secret Service failed failed to protect former President Trump from a 20-year-old would-be assassin who appears to have single-handedly outwitted the world's most famous protective service. This level of incompetence demands an explanation. Senator Josh Hawley is a member of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee and Senate Judiciary Committee, which share jurisdiction over the Secret Service. He is the only Republican senator who serves on both committees. On July 13th, the same day as the attempted assassination, Senator Hawley called on HSGAC to conduct a full investigation into the events on that day. On July 14th, Senator Hawley formally wrote to the HSGAC chairman calling for a committee investigation, and on July 15th joined other Republican senators calling on SJC Chairman Durbin to do the same. Let's now show you and talk about the timeline of events on that horrible day. In the morning, Crooks takes his father's AR-15 rifle, buys 50 rounds of ammunition, and later drives to the rally. At 4:26 p.m., local counter sniper texts colleagues about someone who snuck in and parked by our cars. 5:06 p.m., Crooks videotaped outside secured perimeter by members of public. 5:10 p.m., state or local law enforcement identified Crooks as a suspicious person. 5:32 p.m., state or local law enforcement observed Crooks browsing news on his cell phone and in possession of a rangefinder. 5:38 p.m., photos of Crooks shared in law enforcement group chat. State or local law enforcement discussed Crooks with a rangefinder, saying, "I did see him with a rangefinder looking towards stage. For your information, if you want to notify Secret Service snipers to look out, I lost sight of him." 5:46 p.m., local law enforcement notified Secret Service counter snipers via text that there was a suspicious person. 5:51, local law enforcement notified Secret Service that Crooks was observed with a rangefinder. 6:02, Crooks is observed between the American Glass Research Building. 6:03, former President Trump takes the stage. 6:08, state or local law enforcement observes Crooks on the AGR building. 6:10, Butler Township police officer attempts to climb the roof, hoisted by another officer. Crooks aims the rifle. Officer release grips and falls 8 feet, injuring his ankle. Secret Service says they were aware locals were, quote, working on the issue. And 6:11 p.m., approximately 24 seconds later, Crooks began firing his AR-15 style rifle. FBI assesses he fired 8 rounds total. So again, let's talk a little bit more about the whistleblower allegations here on page 6 of Senator Hawley's full report. Since July 13th, many credible whistleblowers have approached Senator Hawley with pertinent information. Senator Hawley has published these allegations in a series of letters addressed to the Department of Homeland Security Secretary and USSS Acting Director Ronald Rowe. This section details the various allegations reported to Senator Hawley and the responses from executive branch agencies or lack thereof. On July 19th, 2024, Senator Hawley wrote a letter to the Secretary Mayorkas regarding credible allegations from a whistleblower with direct knowledge of the Butler event. These allegations include the whistleblower saying that the July 13th rally was considered to be a loose security event. Specifically, they alleged the following: detection canines were not deployed to monitor entry and detect threats in the usual manner for outdoor rallies. Individuals without proper designations were able to gain access to backstage areas. DHS personnel failed to properly police the 5-foot security buffer near the stage and allowed people to move barricades around the buffer. DHS personnel were not stationed at regular intervals around the security perimeter. The whistleblower further alleged that the majority of DHS personnel working the rally were agents with the department's Homeland Security Investigations Team, or HSI. They alleged that the HSI agents were unfamiliar with standard security protocols used at campaign events. Information requested and response. In his July 19th letter, Senator Hawley requested the following information. How did DHS determine to staff the event, including any decision to rely on state or local officers? What percentage of the DHS agents at the event were from HSI rather than USSS? Were a majority of officers at the event drawn from HSI or other DHS components rather than USSS? If so, why? Were HSI agents properly trained in staffing these types of events? Did gaps exist in the security perimeter, and were the usual protocols followed for the use of canines and magnetometers? Were agents not appropriately stationed around the podium? Were the standard protocols followed for issuing designated pins in vetted personnel that are allowed backstage? How long did agents physically spend on the ground surveying the site before the event? Did any paperwork obligations prevent a longer and more robust site survey? DHS has thus far failed to provide responsive answers to Senator Hawley's request. Another allegation, law enforcement abandoned the roof because it was too hot. On July 22nd, 2024, Senator Hawley wrote a letter to Secretary Mayorkas regarding credible allegations from a whistleblower with knowledge of Secret Service planning for the Butler event. The allegations include the whistleblower alleged that there was supposed to be a law enforcement presence on the roof of AGR Building 6, the roof which Thomas Crooks attempted to assassinate the former president. They alleged that at least one individual was posted to the roof of AGR Building 6 for the duration of the rally, but the post was abandoned because of the hot weather. The whistleblower further alleged that concerns over the heat prompted law enforcement to station personnel inside Building 6 rather than on patrol around the building. At the July 30th, 2024 Senate hearing, Senator Hawley directly questioned Acting Director Rowe regarding his whistleblower report. Rowe acknowledged that he heard the same report and stated that law enforcement posted up inside. He added, I think moving forward, we're going to ensure that state and local counter snipers are on the roofs. Senator Hawley continued to press for a direct answer on whether law enforcement abandoned their post on the roof, and Rowe said he did not know that to be a fact. Senator Hawley continued to press Rowe as to why he did not know. Rowe asserted, quote, we are looking at this. Now, former Director Cheadle previously testified before the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability that the roof of AGR Building 6 was not covered with an individual on it because there was overwatch provided. This answer contradicted has previously public statements that the decision not to place law enforcement on the roof of AGR Building 6 was because the roof was too, quote, sloped. Local law enforcement has disputed the whistleblower's report that law enforcement abandoned the post on the roof, stating that they were assigned to be inside the building at windows to begin with. But on August 8th, 2024, a Wall Street Journal report suggested that there was miscommunication between the Secret Service and law enforcement regarding security plans for AGR Building 6, and that the heat did factor into those decisions regarding the roof. Relatedly, on July 23rd, 2024, the Commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police, Colonel Christopher Paris, testified that the House Homeland Security Committee that they were at least 2 law enforcement officers in the second floor window overlooking the roof of AGR Building 6, but those officers left that post to track down the shooter. The The Butler County District Attorney has disputed this claim, calling it a, quote, misstatement. He asserted that only one counter sniper briefly left the building to search for crooks, but returned to his post. The Pennsylvania State Police has stated that it stands by Colonel Paris's testimony. In his July 22nd letter, Senator Hawley requested the following information. If the whistleblower's allegations are accurate, when did the individual abandon the post? Which law enforcement units were assigned to the roof? Please provide all security plans indicating which units were assigned to the roof and the building. Did any law enforcement personnel fail to report to their assigned stations that day? DHS has thus far failed to provide responsive answers to Senator Hawley's request. Another whistleblower allegation. July 25th, Secret Service declined drone coverage. On July 25th, 2024, Senator Hawley wrote a letter to Secretary Mayorkas regarding credible allegations from a whistleblower with knowledge of security planning for the Butler event. These allegations include the whistleblower alleges that the night before the rally, Secret Service personnel repeatedly denied offers from a local law enforcement partner to utilize drone technology to secure the rally. According to the whistleblower, the drones that were offered to the Secret Service could not only identify active shooters, but also help neutralize them. The whistleblower further alleged that after the shooting took place, Secret Service personnel changed course and asked the local partner to deploy the drone technology to surveil the site in the aftermath of the attack. In the aftermath. The day before Senator Hawley published these allegations, FBI Christopher Wray confirmed in his testimony before the House Judiciary Committee that Thomas Crooks used a drone to survey the site in preparation for his attack. In fact, Wray confirmed that the shooter was operating the drone approximately 2 hours before President Trump took the stage. Senator Hawley wrote that it was hard to understand why Secret Service personnel declined the drones offered to them, particularly in light of Wray's testimony. At the July 30th, 2024 Senate hearing, Senator Hawley directly questioned Acting Director Rowe regarding the whistleblower report. Rowe confirmed that there was an offer to fly a drone on that day. Senator Hawley asked why the offer was denied. Rowe replied, "I think the ability of local law enforcement to provide an asset we probably should have taken them up on if it was offered." In his July 25th letter, Senator Hawley requested all records and communications concerning the availability or use of drones at the July 13th rally. DHS has thus far failed to provide the requested records. August 1st, Counter-Surveillance Division was not present at Butler rally. On August 1st, 2024, Senator Hawley wrote a letter to Acting Director Rowe regarding credible allegations from a whistleblower. These allegations include that the Secret Service Counter-Surveillance Division, or CSD, the unit that performs threat assessment of event sites before the event occurs, did not perform its typical evaluation of the Butler site and was not present on the day of the rally. The whistleblower stated that if personnel from CSD had been present at the rally, the gunman would have been handcuffed in the parking lot after being spotted with a rangefinder. The whistleblower further alleged that Acting Director Rowe personally directed significant cuts to CSD, up to and including reducing the division's manpower by 20%. Acting Director Rowe did not mention this in his July 30th Senate testimony when asked directly to explain manpower reductions. The whistleblower also alleged retaliation against those within the Secret Service who expressed concern about the security of President Trump's events. The whistleblower claimed that following an event with the former president at a golf tournament in August of last year, Secret Service personnel's serious concern that local law enforcement used for every security were not properly trained or otherwise prepared to execute the tasks execute the task assigned to them, Further, Secret Service personnel expressed alarm that individuals were admitted to the event without vetting. The whistleblower alleged that those who raised such concerns face retaliation. In an August 2nd press conference, Acting Director Rowe was asked directly about this whistleblower report. Rowe acknowledged that he heard the report and said that the Secret Service would respond to Senator Hawley's letter. He stated that CSD personnel, when requested, go out and support former president's details, but did not say whether CSD was present at the Butler rally. When asked in a follow-up question whether he cut funding personally, Rowe stated that he did not. In his August 1st letter, Senator Hawley requested the following information. All responsive records during Rowe's time as deputy director in which policy and personnel changes were made to CSD, the Secret Service division that specifically performs advanced site threat assessments. The nature of Rowe's personal involvement in revising, updating, or otherwise changing Secret Service policies and personnel related to CSD. The number of Secret Service agents who have raised concerns about security practices within the Secret Service and are currently facing disciplinary action, as well as the nature of the concerns and the type of action, and also the breakdown of Secret Service personnel at the July 13th rally by division or unit. Another allegation surfaced August 5th. Butler rally site agent was known to lack competence. On August 5th, 2024, Senator Hawley wrote in to Acting Director Rowe regarding credible allegations from multiple whistleblowers with direct knowledge of the Butler event. These allegations include that the Secret Service lead site agent, the agent with specific responsibility for the security of the rally site, was known to lack competence and experience in the role. The whistleblower claimed that the agent was responsible for mitigating line of sight concerns at the Butler site. A separate whistleblower alleged that the lead site agent personally made decisions that likely compromised the overall security of the event. For example, campaign materials such as flags were permitted to be placed around the stage and catwalk used by the former president, despite the fact that these items were typically prohibited because of how they affected the line of sight of those agents responsible for identifying threats. The Secret Service also did not check IDs when issuing credentials that authorize access to restricted areas of the site, contrary to typical practice. Another allegation coming on August 23rd. Secret Service headquarters denied additional manpower resources. On August 23rd, 2024, Senator Hawley wrote a letter to Acting Director Rowe regarding credible allegations from a whistleblower with knowledge of Secret Service planning for the Butler event. These allegations include the lead advance agent for a trip involving protection of a specific individual typically submits a manpower request to the local field office. This normally includes the number of personnel and other security assets needed for the event and is submitted to the U.S. Secret Service Office of Protective Operations Manpower, or OPO Manpower, for final approval. The whistleblower alleged that officials within this office preemptively informed the Pittsburgh field office that the Butler rally was not going to receive additional security resources because Trump is a former president and not the incumbent president or vice president. According to the whistleblower, the manpower request did not include extra security resources because agents on the ground were told not to ask for them in the first place. Importantly, these resources included counter sniper teams and CSD personnel. When asked during the July 30th Senate hearing whether former President Trump's team had been denied resources, Acting Director Rowe stated, "If you're talking about Butler, Pennsylvania, all assets requested were approved." But according to the whistleblower, CSD personnel, counter sniper teams, and other critical security assets were not included in the manpower request for the Butler trip because Secret Service officials told the requesting agents that they would be denied. We have another allegation on September 3rd. DHS agents assigned to the Butler rally received inadequate training. On September 3rd, 2024, Senator Hawley wrote a letter to Acting Director Rowe regarding credible allegations from a whistleblower with knowledge of Secret Service preparations for protective details. These allegations include that the only training received by many HSI agents reassigned to work protective details was a single 2-hour webinar on Microsoft Teams featuring pre-recorded videos. According to the whistleblower, these videos were not substantive and their playback was frequently riddled with technical mishaps, leaving the HSI agents ill-prepared for the protective mission to which they were newly assigned. Furthermore, the whistleblower alleged that the Secret Service has not changed, updated, or otherwise improved its webinar trainings since the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. The whistleblower further alleged that HSI agents were pulled off child exploitation cases in order to serve on protective details for which they were unprepared. Senator Hawley's letter noted previously whistleblower reports that HSI agents outnumbered Secret Service agents at the Butler rally and that HSI agents at the rally had never worked a protective detail before and did not know proper procedure. The above letters encompass the whistleblower allegations that Senator Hawley has made public thus far. In addition, Senator Hawley has received several new whistleblower allegations that have not yet been reported. These include the lead agent responsible for the entire Butler visit, including the rally, failed a key examination during their federal law enforcement training to become a Secret Service agent and was known to be a low-caliber agent. Secret Service intelligence units, teams of Secret Service agents paired with state and local law enforcement to handle reports of suspicious persons were absent from the Butler rally. Deployment of these units would have been mitigated poor communication between different law enforcement components, which has emerged as one of the core operations failures of that day. The hospital site where former President Trump received treatment after the shooting was poorly secured. The Secret Service site agent responsible for hospital security did not know what was going on and could not answer basic questions about security there. 2 months have now elapsed since former President Donald J. Trump was nearly assassinated, and the American people still know far too little about why this happened. The Secret Service, FBI, and Department of Homeland Security have not been forthcoming with the American people. Far from it. They have closed ranks, refused to confirm or deny whistleblower allegations, and resisted meaningful oversight. In fact, sources with direct knowledge of Secret Service's own internal investigation have alleged to Senator Hawley that the Department of Homeland Security is leaning on Secret Service not to comply with document requests from Congress. Instead, it has been left to courageous whistleblowers to tell the story of what really happened. They have testified to the serious security failures pervading entry level of the Butler rally operation. They have highlighted longstanding problems at these security agencies, shedding light on decadent and unserious internal cultures here. So again, this was the full whistleblower testimony report from Senator Josh Hawley, and we appreciate everyone watching along here with us, and we will not stop until we get more of these answers, and we will continue to report on Senator Josh Hawley's whistleblower report. Remember, we read it all out for you, all 22 pages, and when there are more reports, we will continue to do so. Let me know what you think on social media. I'm on X. You see it right there. Page Live now. Would love to hear from you, and we need to get more answers into this because it seems like it is sliding from the public view, and we need more whistleblowers to come forward because it seems right now, according to Senator Josh Hawley, that HSI and other groups are being tight-lipped and telling them do not respond to requests. But because of the whistleblowers, we have documents now saying how inadequate inadequate that security was, how incompetent some of those security agents were, and we're not stopping until we find all of the answers. I'm Mike Pace with Live Now from Fox. Thanks so much for watching. Welcome back, everyone, to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Pace, as we continue to bring you the very latest in the attempted assassinations of Donald Trump. Hard to believe that we have to say plural for attempted assassinations. But here we are, and yet again, another Secret Service whistleblower has come to Senator Josh Hawley, Republican out of Missouri. As you know, I've been covering this extensively, the whistleblowers that come to Senator Hawley, and then I bring that information to you. This time, it is different, though, because the whistleblower is talking about the second attempted assassination. So I have the details here for you. I'm going to read it out just like I read the 22-page whistleblower report for you a couple of days ago here on Live Now from Fox. And if you haven't seen that, we will link that at the back end of this video so you could see and hear all 22 pages of that in-demand whistleblower report. I'm the only one to do it on YouTube, and it's my pleasure to bring that to you and give that reporting to you all in real time right here, because not a lot of people are doing that. But here at Live Now from Fox and me, Mike Pace, you know I am doing it for you always on Live Now from Fox. All right, everyone. Here is the latest information. Again, this is a whistleblower for the second attempted assassination. It goes like this. This is from Senator Josh Hawley. He is writing to the acting Secret Service Director Rowe, saying, "My office has received new whistleblower information regarding the most recent attempt on the life of former President Donald Trump, raising troubling questions about Secret Service protocols on that day. A whistleblower with direct knowledge of Secret Service protection at former President Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, an individual who has in fact protected President Trump at the very location, alleges that there are known vulnerabilities in the fence line surrounding the course, places that offer a clear line of sight to the former president and others playing the course. As a result, the whistleblower alleges it has been Secret Service protocol to, quote, post up agents at these vulnerable spots when Trump visits the course. That apparently did not happen on September 15th. Instead, the gunman was permitted to remain along or near the fence line for some 12 hours. It is further unclear from your recent press conference whether agents swept the perimeter of the golf course at any point or whether drones were used to surveil the fence line. The reality is that the would-be assassin should never have been able to linger around the course for that long undetected. Please answer immediately the following questions raised by these new whistleblower allegations. Number one, did Secret Service personnel post up at known vulnerabilities in the perimeter fencing? Number two, did Secret Service personnel sweep the perimeter prior to the former president's arrival on the site? Number three, did Secret Service use K-9 units or unmanned aircraft systems, or UASs, elements to monitor the perimeter of the golf course? How were they used? Number four, if counter-surveillance personnel were present at the golf course on September 15th, as you stated at a recent press conference, in what manner were they deployed? Why did they not detect the gunman sooner? And number five, what was the specific counter-surveillance mitigation plan for the known vulnerabilities outside the fence line that day? So again, that was from Senator Josh Hawley. Another whistleblower has come to him, and he is continuing to bring that to the public's attention. And of course, right here on Live Now from Fox, anytime I see these new whistleblower statements to Senator Josh Hawley, I bring it to you on Live Now from Fox. We are going to showcase it all to you because these attempted assassination investigations, we do not know a lot right now. It's hard to believe that the attempted assassination, number one, and number two, against the former president, Donald J. Trump, there is still so many unanswered questions, and we are going to be working very hard to get those answers to you. But you can always follow me on X. You see it right there at Page Live Now. I love to hear from the viewers. Let me know what you want to know from these whistleblower allegations, and we'll work hard to get Senator Josh Hawley on the show as well so we can really discuss some of these matters. So again, just follow me there, Page Live Now, and I'm also linking at the back end here of this video of my full 22-page readout that I did of the whistleblower allegations. I'm doing it for you, the viewer, and of course, the Americans, that we need to know more answers when it comes to these attempted assassinations on Donald J. Trump. You're watching Live Now from Fox, and I'm Mike Page, and I'm always here for you.
News today, the son of Ryan Routh, the man in custody for the second apparent assassination attempt against former President Trump, has been arrested on federal charges of possessing child pornography. Orrin Alexander Routh was arrested today, according to court documents. Investigators say they found hundreds of child pornography files when searching Orrin Routh's home in North Carolina. It is unclear if the investigation was in relation to his father. The files were found on a Samsung Galaxy Note device inside Orrin's primary bedroom. As of now, a preliminary hearing has not been scheduled, and he has not entered a plea.
If you're someone who enjoys staying updated on breaking news, missing person cases, human trafficking, or true crime stories, then this is the perfect place for you. Don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell if you're on YouTube, or catch me live on DLive at www.live.tv Simradio. And for joining and participating with others in the chat on DLive, you'll have a chance to win a treasure chest full of lemon rewards to help support other streamers or cash them in. It's your choice, so please subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and if you like this video, smash that like button. It will help get this video out to others in the YouTube world.